Well, I'm embarking on a new project here from France for my first cousin twice removed, Harry T. And the little truck that I bought comes from France and was wrapped in paper from a French newspaper from 1955. Probably just as old as the truck. Ah, there it is. Oh boy. Oh wow. This is going to take about all I can do. I can already see some scope for replacing those nuts. Back axle, it doesn't even seem wide enough. Certainly the front wheels, pretty embedded in there. It doesn't look quite right, so it may need that. All of that will have to come off. Interesting little cap there. Oh dear, this will really push what little skill I have in making these or restoring these things. But it's going to be good fun. So, Harry T, this is for you. So here's the truck. I've just pulled off one of these, and clearly this truck is being worked on before. Look at the leftover metal there. Somebody just drilled that through. So somebody's tried to mess with this and fix it. Probably because a lot of things like this little tab here have been broken off. So they didn't really have much choice. So I'll be lifting all of these tabs, taking this off. These screws here, which are clearly not screws that came with the original, another big hole here. So the question is going to be, can I get this thing beaten into shape? And I'll do that with my trusty anvil here that was bought for me as a joke by my cousin, and now it actually is going to come in handy as I start to pound on this a little bit. And so I'll just take all of these things patiently one by one, and then see if we can't actually make that little motor in there, that wind-up motor, if we can't make that work as well. So it's going to be a big project. So here we are. That's in pretty good shape. It's just going to be, it's going to need to be bent back a little bit, but it's not in bad shape. Get that paint off of there. Here's the bed of the truck. And again, I mean, it's being played with, it's being knocked about, but you know, the basic shape is there. We can clean that up. I can clean it up a little bit. I don't have a sander or a sand blaster or anything like that, but you know, we can make this look a lot better. Here's the cab, because I still need to take this off. Oh, it's a screw. it's just one of the screws. That's funny. And so these tabs, I'll have to overlook those to get that top off. There are the old screws back there. The back wheels, I kind of pulled them apart. It looks like I could just put a little bit longer axle on that. That would do. These are in bad shape. Perhaps I can find other ones. But if not, you know, we can clean them up and make them black. This was added by whoever was working on this before, I think, as just extra stability within the toy. Here's the bottom. Again, you know, nothing's ripped off. It's just kind of bent up and in need of care. And this is great. And it still works. This too has been smashed on there with a mallet, and so that's why the wheels sort of disappear in the front chassis. But as long as this is aligned, so this is all going to have to be taken apart. But what a lovely little thing there. So it's a lot of just pretty straightforward work, and so I'll be keen to get after it. So this deserves another video because what I just showed was only about halfway done. Little thing had to come off the bottom. Presumably that is where, actually I don't know where that goes. I took the front off of the windshield, so that needed to come off as well. Off of this, which just looks like death warmed over. But still, nothing's really torn, and I haven't torn anything up. So this has got to come off. And that is easier said than done. But it's not impossible. There we go. And with a little work, that'll come out too. And I still need to take off these lumber signs here on the doors. But other than that, now it really is pretty much pulled apart. And only now do I feel like I really have the whole thing apart. So now I'm going to take this stuff, and as the guys on YouTube who seem to know, they first put them in rust remover. So that's probably needed. So you can see in here, gotten a bunch of the rust off, and that's worked pretty well. Some of the paint, where I guess rust was sitting under it, has come off, so this is being washed off. Here we have some of the other parts that are still just about ready. I had to put this one in front first and then back, but one of the things that I found was the heavy damage here and right along here. That's why this plate was in there, in order to give it stability. So I'm going to have to look around and see if I can do something here with a soldering iron or something that's a little more elegant than that aluminum block, but maybe that's good enough. So some of the parts are still in the rust remover, and then I will put paint remover on all of this stuff, and then we'll get down to taking dents and bumps and scratches out and working on things like the tires. So here, in a couple hours in the paint stripper, and we'll just start taking it off. Probably better to do it in here. And that's a lot of years of nasty paint. So we'll keep cracking on with this. So after a couple of times in the rust remover and paint remover, there's still a lot of paint to remove. And I've been busy with some steel wool on that. And that's going to take a while. And also trying to get these bends smoothed out. Done a little bit here with a synthetic hammer. Just kind of going like that. Found some places where the metal had been torn, and that wasn't good. So pretty big project there. The rust, if you can, I don't know if you can see the rust there. It just keeps coming out. So to combat that, I've got one of these nice little pads, and that should do the trick. It's kind of a Scotch-Brite and sandpaper combination. Might be a little too aggressive for this, but I don't know what I'm going to do otherwise, so I'm going to carry on with that. So now lots of sanding, lots of steel wool, lots of elbow grease, and we should come there. Little update here. This trashed piece that is really important is the backbone of the truck. This is the front bumper. It was pretty much just torn, and this was all torn and open, and this was just hanging by a thread. So I put some metal putty on there, and it doesn't look so nice now, but I'm gonna sand it down and make it look a little bit nicer, even though no one will ever see it again. And it's also helped straighten this up. It was very bent. It's still bent, so that's got more strength. And then on this side, I've been filling in the holes that were drilled before to hold in the aluminum plate. I'm not going to use that. I found out that the aluminum plate was in here, and then the front wheels mechanism was mounted on top of it, which made the front wheels raise up, and then you couldn't really see them. And so that's going to be taken out. Some other updates on the wheels. The wheels, I cannot find replacements for this toy. It's an SSS toy truck from Japan originally, I found out, the lumber truck, and I cannot find replacement wheels for this thing. So they were bent and they were horrible, and they're still a bit horrible, but it is a lumber truck. And I've been able to straighten them out considerably using the following technique. Just taking a piece of metal like this and a synthetic hammer and then knocking them. This one was already pretty good. And they look, I might need to knock this one a couple more times, but they look acceptable. So, so that won't mean me having to buy these, old tires, having to go and find them and then pay 50 euros a pop for each tire. So they should be okay. I'll try to restore the rubber, maybe with some ammonia, and see if that works. So the other thing from this model, somebody's dad or grandpa or someone put this around the bed of the truck. And it's a brilliant little thing. I didn't know that it wasn't part of the truck, and it's really great. So I've cleaned it up and I'm going to use it again. It's a wonderful little part. But that's going to take even more work, but it's fun. Okay. So I would have thought we're about halfway now. Here are the little steps that go on the side of the truck, little signs that go on the doors that said lumber before and will now say something like Harry T or Harry T Lumber or something. Here's the bumper, looking okay, the grill, and the main chassis looking all right. All of this stuff has been in the paint stripper, most of it 3 times, and all of it's been in the rust remover twice. Here's the top of the cab. As you can see, I've put tried to smooth out some of the dents. It looks like 6 kids played with this thing in a tornado. And I used a hammer with these to kind of bash those little dents and things out. And I used this hard enough to get it going, soft enough so where I didn't, take one bad hit and then it was, then it was curtains. Here's again the main body with the metal epoxy holding it together. Here's the old solution for holding it together. We're going to leave that out because it raises the front tires into the body too much. Here is the momentum machine that needs to have a new axle, new front axle. So we'll have to do that to make it work. And the tires, those will be done here. Wow, they look awful, but I'm going to do my best with them. And here's the bed, and then along the back here you see this will be folded back up and then put around the edges of the bed, and that'll look cool. So we are getting there. So as I put the primer on, more and more of these little bumps and things seem to show up. Lots of bad places on here. I mean, the metal is just awful. I've scraped that off to fix this little bit here. But this is a dent from the inside out. How does that happen? So, and it's just devilishly difficult to get that out. So I'll be working on that on the top here. Just needs to be pounded out a bit, and then I'll put some liquid metal over it and see what happens. So still busy with some pretty basic aspects of this toy. So now I'm putting back together this little momentum engine. Still works quite well, and that needs to be done like this. Be a little tougher. A big one. Just a process of folding those tabs back over. They're in good shape, so that shouldn't be a problem. And this shouldn't be too much of a problem either. Ah. Crap. And you don't want to bend this thing too much. Anyway, that's where we are right now. Lots of small things continue to happen, but progress seems to be pretty slow. Using a nice off-white for the main body, and that's starting to look pretty good. That's after a couple of coats. And the top of the cab, and there, I don't know if you can see, there's still kind of a dent in there. I just can't go back and strip it down and do it again. The wheels have been blackened a bit, and so the tires have been blackened a bit. The wheels have been colored silver, and that middle section there is chrome, done with a chrome pen. And we have the bed of the truck, which has had a couple of coats, but we're missing the actual floor of the truck. It just had disappeared over the years, and so I was determined to make a new floor, and I'm doing that out of some cedar wood, out of some cigar box, and that is being three layers of this very thin cedar wood put together, and that's going to form the bottom of the bed. Things continue to move along here. This is the mechanism. Put some Loctite on that front one. I hope that's enough to lock it tight. And if not, then this little middle mechanism won't work, and that's okay. I put some spacers in. I used wood. I could have used some plastic, some nylon tubing. I just wanted to use wood. The bed, certainly not original, but originals are the thing that I got. But I put some wood in there and riveted it down, and I think it just looks great. Of course, there's still so much damage and so much bent and messed up here, but it's better than it was. Waiting for the Loctite on the new axle and wheels for the back, letting that set, and then we'll put those on the back here. The front of the truck looking okay. Here I also had to put on an extra tab. I did that with the good old cigar box lid. Just made a bunch of tabs and put them on with metal putty. And then this was missing as well, and it's not as elegant as what came originally on there, but it's a nice little sort of cap, and that's made from a rivet, and then painted with a chrome pen. Flat aluminum for the bumper, for the front windscreen, and for the grill. This would be easier to see it like this for the grill. And you almost sort of see this thing coming together slowly but surely. So the wheels are on. The Loctite, I am hoping, is locking them tight, although it will need to be 24 hours, I think, before it's fully set. But that seems to be working okay. And now I'll put a little Loctite on this side, and we'll start to put the chassis on, and so the end is kind of in sight. Well, a few good things have happened. This has come together pretty nicely, pretty well. I used, I may have said that before, used a rivet for the gas cap. The original Studebaker had a metal, I don't know, head or something here that was a little fancier than that, but got to make do with what you got. This has come together pretty well. We'll see how it looks, how it all looks when it's put together. But so far so good. And then for Harry Timothy Harcourt, I made these custom decals, and I've just put them on, and those little things will go right here. Stick them on there, and then, gosh, we're almost there. So fingers crossed that there's not some big thing that comes up that I've got to take it all apart again. So getting close to the end. Final stretch here. This cab, a Studebaker cab. So all the stuff is back on there now. HTH for Harry Timothy. And it's looking okay. So now this is going to go on that, hopefully. And we'll get this to the States and get it to its rightful owner. That is some aggravating stuff. Trying to put this thing on, and what do? Get my thumb on that thing, and I pull off custom decal. I got one more, so we'll see if it works. Well, this looks like it. Finally finished. Of course, none of this was with the original. It came with the toy as I bought it. Studebaker SSS Japanese toy. It's been through a lot, and it's in slightly better shape now than it was, and I hope one day Harry can get hold of it and tear it up, and then I'll be asked to fix it again, and that'll give me something useful to do. So there it is, finally finished. It's been good fun.